Piget. You're in my kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen. And guess what I'm doing today? I'm making some scones, and I'm making these scones to take with me on my retreat that I'm going to be leaving for in about an hour and a half. And so I'm going to make these scones so we can have some tea while we're out. So what I'm going to do is, I already have in here 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Then I am going to take this pastry cutter and I'm going to cut in some butter. Now this actually calls for butter and shortening half and half, but I really don't want to put shortening in it. So you can do all butter, and that's what I'm doing, is all butter. So either 1/3 cup of shortening and 1/3 cup of butter, or 2/3 a cup of butter. So I'm going to take the butter and I'm going to cut it into little cubes, so it's already like part way there. So I'm going to cut it in half again, and you want cold butter actually to do this. Okay, so I did it that way. Then I'm going to turn it on end, or turn it over one, do it again. It just makes it a little faster to blend. You don't want to start off trying to blend a whole stick of butter that's cold. And you don't want softened butter for this because it won't do it right. Okay, so then when you get that, I'm just going to take and cut these little cubes. Now this is only half a cup of butter, so to make it 2/3, I have to do another 2 2/3 tablespoons, which I have right here. I'm going to do that in a second. Collapsing on me here. Quit doing that. So look, you have these. So see right there? That's kind of what you want. A little pea-sized chunk of butter. This does not work well with margarine. Margarine has too much oil and water in it, from what I understand. You want real butter. And also, these are called Kensington Palace scones. Real scones, when I'm talking about real scones, what I'm talking about are British scones, because this is a British food. Real, authentic British scones are not very sweet. They are like a biscuit, more like an American biscuit, with a little tiny bit of sugar. And where they get their sweetness is when you eat them. You add jam or jelly, whatever you want to call it, or preserves. So the scones aren't meant to just be eaten, they aren't meant to be eaten like a muffin. They aren't meant to be eaten by themselves and dry. They're meant to be eaten with Devonshire cream or clotted cream, which you can get in like Whole Foods or Fresh Market. You can get in a specialty store. Oops. Some people make mock clotted cream, which is like whipped cream and cream cheese, or some sort of a thing to make it thicker. Which can be done, but it is nothing at all the same. Sort of the same texture, not at all the same taste. And that, yeah, I got them all in little cubes, don't I? Yes, okay. So there's the rest of the butter. So here's our bowl of butter and the flour dry mixture. So I'm going to cut that in, meaning you're just going to blend it together. But if you have a scone, and that's really sweet, has a bunch of sugar in it, or sugar on it, tastes like a big fat cookie, that's actually an American version. It's not really a scone. Sorry, it's not really a scone. That's a lot of restaurants and stuff that sell scones, and if it's really sweet and it doesn't need anything on it, that's a big fat cookie. It's not really a scone. Sorry. Or it's a big fat muffin baked into a scone shape. Scones should not be sweet. They should be almost like an American biscuit, just barely. So this only has 2 tablespoons of sugar in the whole recipe. These are supposed to be the scone recipe from Kensington Palace. That's what it's called, Kensington Palace scones. So this is supposedly a recipe or a version of the recipe made in Kensington Palace in England. That is the claim. But this is what a true British scone would be. Not sweet. But then if you eat it, you're going to think, well, gee, it's so boring. Yeah, it's because you're not supposed to eat them plain. You eat them with Devonshire cream. And see, they use Devonshire cream or clotted cream in place of butter. So you use it with the clotted cream and some jelly or jam. And so then the sweetness comes from the jelly. And then you can really determine how sweet you want it with that. Now, some people say, well, I don't want it very sweet, so I'll just eat it. I'll just eat it without the jelly so I don't get that much sugar. You can, but it's going to be kind of boring. It's going to be like, yeah. You're going to think, it's not that good. You will. It's just going to be so plain. And if you say, well, I really like the ones that have more sugar, well, then you might as well put the jelly on it and have it how it's really supposed to be. You can always get like the all fruit kind of jelly, and it has less sugar in it or sugar free or whatever. But try these with the clotted cream and jam. At the very least, put some jelly on it. Okay. So then you want it kind of like this. A little grainy and a little lumpy. Yes, you do, because little lumps of butter in there. That's what you want, actually. So there you go. Now we're done with that. So I'm going to take this. This is a pastry cutter. I'm going to put the pastry cutter away. I've got a chunk of butter right there. There we go. I smashed it. Then you're going to add, let me get this flour off my hands real quick. Flour and butter. So you have your oven on 425. This is a really hot oven. Then I have 1/3 cup of milk and 1 egg. So I'm going to add the egg into the milk and beat those together. Scones actually, they sound so fancy, don't they? They're so easy. Not any harder than making a simple biscuit. Just has a little more sugar. Take a fork, mix my milk and eggs. The hardest part is just, it takes a few minutes to get it blended, to get the butter in. It's not hard, it just takes a few minutes. Okay, so then we're going to add our egg and milk. And then we're going to stir that and make our dough. Then we're going to take our dough and we're going to pat it out on a floured surface and cut it out with a biscuit cutter. You can bake it like where you just cut it with a knife if you'd rather. Some people cut it into triangle shapes. So if you'd rather cut it into a shape instead of cut it out with a round biscuit cutter, you can. I've even seen where they're sometimes made where you make it like in one big, like a cake, and then you just cut it in pieces and leave it together. I think you can do that, but that's not what we're doing. Okay, so there's my mix. You don't want to overmix it. And see, it's like a big lumpy mess. Yep, that's right. That's right what you get right there. So then I'm going to take some more flour and make a big mess over here. Floured board, counter, whatever you want to use. And spread that around. Then you're going to take this dough, because you see, it will easily come together. I'm trying to show you in the phones. The phone's a little too low. There you go. So I'm just going to put all of this, and it really likes to stick to your hands. I'm going to put all of this here together. And then you're going to sort of knead it, but not much. You're not going to knead it, not like a yeast thing, but you're just kind of mush it together. Now, if you wanted to add like raisins or sultanas are a little white raisin. It's just from a white grape. They're just a little lighter tasting, or currants, which is a different fruit, but it looks like little bitty raisins. Those are hard to find here, actually. Then you're going to take your dough and press it down. It says to about a 1/2 inch height. And see, it should be really flaky because you're making a really flaky product. I'm just trying to make sure it's not sticking to my counter. Now, it says you can coat this with an egg wash before you bake them. I usually don't bother. It's fine without that. But you can if you take some egg and milk and mix it together in a little brush or spoon or something and spread it over. Okay, so here's our dough. Spread that out. Then I'm going to take a biscuit cutter, round biscuit cutter, and the trick to making scones, biscuits, or anything is you push straight down and you don't twist. Because if you twist, it causes it to rise crooked. So I have a cookie sheet over here that I'm putting it in. I'll show it to you in a little while. So take your thing, push straight down and straight up, and they will be less likely to rise crooked. And this is like an ungreased cookie sheet I'm doing because this has so much butter in here. You don't need grease. And I prefer to bake. I bake everything that's like biscuits or cookies or anything. I bake everything on a double layered baking pan. So it's called an air pan or a 2-layer. So it doesn't have any, I don't know what I'm saying. That makes no sense. It has a layer. I can't talk today. A layer of air. Hello. It has a layer of air between the 2 layers of metal pan. So whatever you're baking will not ever burn on the bottom. It cannot burn on the bottom. So if you don't like blackened biscuits or scones, get you a pan that has air. Okay, so now I'm out of like places that'll fit with that cutter. So I'm going to do this again. So this makes about a dozen scones. If you want more than that, you can double the recipe or something. Here's that one. See, it's real easy to pick up. That one. That one is falling apart a little, but you know, if they do, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It still works. Even if it comes out looking funny, they taste the same. This is going to make about a baker's dozen, I think. About 13. It's always nice to have an extra. And one more here. And then what's left, we will bake as well. So the thing about this I like is that if you have a little bit of scraps, you know, you just bake it. Now I usually take my last one and push it in to make the shape. That way I use every speck of it. Press it into the little round thing. It'll still be a little funky looking because I didn't cut it, but it'll be fine. Okay. So that definitely was 13 scones. Okay, here, let me wash this mess off my hands, and then I'm going to show you my pan. Get all that. Makes kind of a lot of crusty on my hands here. I'm going to flip this around for you. Here we go. There they are. Kind of spaced apart on the pan. So 425 on the oven. And then you're going to do, my recipe book here's in the way. Then you're going to do 12 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to start with 12. Put it in my oven. Ooh, it's warm in there. 425. And then you just bake them until they're risen and browned. Let's start with the 12 minutes. And there we go. Okay, so I will put this recipe and a picture of the scones in my live. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Karen. And I will talk to you later. Today I am leaving in about an hour. I'm leaving to go on a retreat. I'm so excited. I'm going to go do my makeup on live. And then I'll do some lives from the retreat. I'm only having to go about an hour and a half from home, so that's great. I don't have to go too far. But I'm still out of town. I'm so excited. First time I've been out of town in 8 years. All right, so I'm going to go, and I hope you have a great day, and I will come do my makeup next and show you a picture of the scones and the recipe in the comments later. And you have a great day. Bye.